Man. The Parsha of Man. The Parsha has it's Molad V'Godush. And here we deal with Man. Hamoitzi lechem min hashamayim. What bracha was made in Klal Yisrael made on Man? So there's discussion. Some say Taka they did make Hamoitzi lechem min hashamayim. Others say they didn't make a bracha at all because it's a lechem shel nes. So therefore, and there's more discussion too, but that's not why we wanted to go into this. One thing's for certain. It can be a suffix as to what bracha, but one thing is for certain. All parnasa comes min hashamayim. A person has to do min hishtadlis. That's b'zayas ha'pechel lechem. But otherwise, certainly, everything comes min hashamayim. Now, Rabbi Chanan Vassar, who's at the side of the Gvocha, Hashem Yikom Domo, he said that an idea, and he says, Ein chotfin ar parnasa. You can't grab. No way can we grab, which is the indication is an immoral or unethical way to make parnasa. Let's say, for example, a person is dishonest in making parnasa. It would seem he makes some extra money, says Rav Chanan. But the fact is that money will be dissipated. Maybe with health reasons, he's going to have to spend it one way. It may be something that, his material wealth will not work out well in another area. But if he makes money somewhere unethically, he's going to lose it in another way. If a person is mechal Shabbos to make money, also, there are harbe shluchim l'makom. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has many, many messengers. And therefore, it always works out. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is kovei already what a person should make. And it's certainly if a person tries to make more in a way which is not acceptable, it's not going to stay. That's one idea. Now, the Chazon Ish was asked, how do we know how much, when hishtadlis is too much hishtadlis? And that's a question that we're not going to answer tonight, but I'm going to tell you what the Chazon Ish answered. What is considered too much hishtadlis? And then Hamed ben Yovin, to the best of our ability, you can think about it. He says hishtadlis, appropriate hishtadlis is, for example, when a person takes a hammer and he bangs a nail into a wall. And the nail goes easily. That's the hishtadlis, which is, an acceptable hishtadlis. And then he can hang up the picture, the clock, whatever it is. It's not going to stay there without him doing it. However, if the nail starts to bend out of shape, then it's an indication that stop. Because it's not going to go anywhere. And that's what he says too. In hishtadlis, if a person starts to get bent out of shape, it's too much. What does bent out of shape mean? Here already, we're going to have to think of it to some extent on our own. Because that's all that was brought down that I saw. Maybe where the Makor is, he says more. But this is all I saw. The Chazon Ish says that he likens it to the knocking of the nail, and if it starts to get bent out of shape, stop. Same thing for a person. Now, it could very well be that if a person sees that the hishtadlis is taking over his whole being, he can't think well, he can't daven well, he can't learn well. Maybe it's staring a shalom bias. Maybe it's very disturbing his chinuch at home. Whatever it is, maybe it's hurting his health. Hey, back off. Too much hishtadlis. That could be what's involved in being bent out of shape. So, the Yiddish Perush is a little more, but it's certainly worthwhile to think in these terms. And so, never to get bent out of shape. Chamushim Olu Mitzrayim. Another idea. 1/5, second Pirush in Rashi, of the Jews left Eretz Mitzrayim. That means 4/5 died. That means about 2,400,000 in round terms died during the time of Choshech. It's a lot of Jews. For the Jews, that was, keep in mind, that was kimat, the makis b'chayris for them. Because we say, ein bayish, ein lo meis, by makis b'chayris for the Mitzrim. Well, unfortunately, if you think in terms of 2,400,000 Jews dying during the makis Choshech, because they didn't want to leave Mitzrayim, they didn't want to go to Eretz Yisrael, so therefore it's a lot of loss. Okay, I mention this as the background for the following. And during the Holocaust, the Belzer Rebbe came to Eretz Yisrael. He made his or shortly after, his whole Belzer Hasidim, his whole family, together wiped out. A small group came with it. When they got to Eretz Yisrael, they made a Sudas Hodah. And at the Sudas Hodah, someone started to cry as they're singing Zmiris V'Sishbachos to HaKadosh Baruch Hu for having saved them. And he says, Rebbe, how can we sing? Granted, we're here, Baruch Hashem, but with the Tsar, my whole family was wiped out. Your whole family was wiped out. All over like this. How can we really have joy at this moment? So the Belzer Rebbe said, go back to Eretz Mitzrayim. Those Jews who were at Yam Suf, they sang Oz Yosher at the time. And they also went through something similar to what, to here. They had over 2 million of the people there died. And the fact is that they had the capacity. What gave them the capacity to be able to sing? Oz Yashir, which, as Rashi brings down, is a remez to Tchiyas HaMesim. Olam Haba, Tchiyas HaMesim. If, God forbid, a person looks upon this world as the end, and not a prosdor, not the antechamber to Olam Haba, Ein Chanami. What a terrible, terrible thing. And in no way, God forbid, am I want to minimize not that situation in the time of Moshe Rabbeinu, nor, God forbid, what happened 70 years ago. But the fact is, there is Olam Haba. And that gives the strength of the Jew to go on. In general, about death, someone indicated a motion. Death is similar to when a father sends out his child for a number of years to be able to make profit and then come home. And then come home with it. And that's what Olam Hazeh is. A person is sent out to this world to make profit of Torah, mitzvahs, and everlasting profit, and then comes home to his Father in heaven. When a person looks upon it that way, it's God forbid, not the end, it's the beginning. The fact is, they bring a marshal, a situation that occurred during Soviet rule, where an Admor was taken by the Soviets. They put a gun to his head and said, listen, you know where people are learning Torah in underground groups. Tell us where they are, or we're going to murder you right now. He said, listen, I have one God, two worlds. This world and the next. Whatever you do, you do. But, I'm not telling you anything. All right. Whatever happened, hopefully happened for the best. But the fact is, it certainly happened for the best, but hopefully they left him alone. But the fact is, one God, two worlds, and then we thank God. That gives us the capacity to be able to go through whatever it is. Baruch Hashem in that sense. Let me end with an idea. Do we have enough time? It's interesting. We have Lechem Mishnah. Lechem Mishnah is our way, every week, of being able to relive the month. Lechem Mishnah. So, Lechem Mishnah is covered during Kiddush. Shul Levayish is a pas. Oh, Levayish is a pas. Did you ever see a bread, change colors? Its face went to, the pas went from red to white, whatever it is. God forbid, like a person who's being embarrassed? No, of course not. But the fact is that Chazal used the Lashon when it speaks of the hierarchy of brachas, where pas should be, the bracha hamotzi should come first. But the fact is, because we're Mekadosh today, we start with Kiddush first. When we cover the pas, Ki'ilu, it's not there. It's a little levayish. Why do we use that word? Because we want that phrase, we want to be able to emphasize to us that in human relations we should be very careful. Kal v'chomer, and how we relate to other people, namely especially our families, our wives and children and others. And so make sure, if pas, which has no feelings, we are so careful about achas kama v'kama, a human being. And that's the way Chazal throughout Shas and throughout, this is the derech, be using the very various metaphors for us to be able to understand and emphasize Beinam l'chaverim. The Maisa Shahoya with the Panovich Rav, he's staying at the house of the Gevir. The Gevir and he went to Shul. They came back from Shul Friday night, and they knocked on the door, and the wife came to the door, and clearly she had fallen asleep. And she, I could see that she was very tired, and so she opened the door, and the house was not really ready fully for Shabbos, the table and all. But that really wasn't a problem for the Gvir, because listen, his wife was very tired, understandably. So they went in with the Panovitcher, and so fine. So she's going to get the table ready, it's not a problem. But one thing got the Gvir very upset, and that is the pas. The challah was not covered, and he feared maybe the Panovitcher Rav would think that he didn't realize that the challah has to be covered when they're going to make kiddush, and this already is an indication that he's lacking in knowledge. So all of a sudden he started to be irritated and let it out on his wife to some extent. And the Panovitcher said, well, that's when he made the statement about the pas. He said, my oh my, how ironic it is that we say that we're careful to cover the pas, shalol levayas yaseh pas, and we use that term, and here this man is doing something which he should never do to embarrass his wife. He didn't get the message. Listen, Baruch Hashem, we B'nai Torah get the message in Beinanu L'Chavero, Beinanu L'Makom, and Yitz Hashem, especially this Shabbos, for ourselves, our families, we'll do V'shamru B'nai Yisrael as a Shabbos, Lasas as a Shabbos, the Darasayim Brisayim, we'll keep a Shabbos that'll have so much to it that infuses our families, our children, with all the enthusiasm, so that they'll keep Shabbos in the very best way, the Doros.